Welcome back to Zcoins. Today we are diving into the top 5 most valuable Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coins that could be hiding in your collection right now. Some of these are worth thousands and others have been sold for over $1 million at auction. We are going deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting, and specifically we will be talking about the 1971 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. Yes, the good old Lincoln penny. You have probably seen dozens of them over the years, but the 1971 version might be worth a lot more than you think. So stay tuned as we explore the coin's history, what makes certain versions of it so valuable, and how much these coins are selling for today. Let us begin with a bit of history. The Lincoln cent was first issued in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it marked the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regular issue U.S. coin. The obverse or front side of the coin features the bust of Abraham Lincoln facing to the right with the words "In God We Trust" above liberty on the left and the year of minting on the right. The reverse side of the Lincoln penny in 1971 still featured the Lincoln Memorial, which had replaced the original wheat stalks in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. If you look closely at the reverse of these memorial cents, you will actually see a tiny image of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial. This makes the Lincoln cent the only coin where the same person appears on both sides of the coin. Now let us focus on the year 1971. In 1971, the United States Mint produced Lincoln pennies at 3 locations. The Philadelphia Mint, which struck coins without a mint mark; the Denver Mint, which used a small D below the date; and the San Francisco Mint, which produced proof coins with an S mint mark. These coins were made primarily from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams. That makes them heavier than the newer post-1982 pennies, which are primarily made of zinc. As for the numbers, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 1 billion 1971 pennies. Yes, that is billion with a B. The Denver Mint struck over 2.9 billion. The San Francisco Mint made around 3.2 million proof coins. So with such high numbers, why is the 1971 penny considered valuable by collectors? The answer lies in the rare errors and unique variations that occurred during minting. Let us start with the 1971 double die obverse. This is one of the most sought-after error coins from that year. A double die error happens when the coin die itself is misaligned or impressed more than once, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. On the 1971 double die obverse penny, you will often see noticeable doubling on the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," and sometimes even on the date. These are genuine mint errors, and they can fetch hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on the condition. For example, one high-grade 1971 double die penny graded mint state 65 read by a professional grading service sold for over $1,200 at auction. That is a big return for a coin that originally cost just 1 cent. Another error to watch out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during minting, resulting in part of the design missing. The more off-center the strike and the more visible the date, the more valuable the coin. Some extreme off-center 1971 Lincoln pennies can be worth between $50 and $300 depending on how dramatic the error is. Also watch for clipped planchet errors, where a piece of the coin is literally clipped off due to a mechanical mistake at the mint. These can also add value, especially if the date and main design are still clearly visible. Another interesting variety is the small date versus large date confusion. While not officially noted for 1971 as prominently as in other years, some collectors do search for subtle variations in the date style that might indicate a rare transitional piece or minor mint anomaly. So, what is the current market value of the 1971 Lincoln penny? Let us break it down by category. A standard circulated 1971 penny from Philadelphia or Denver without any errors is generally worth only face value, which is 1 cent. Even in slightly better condition, it might be worth just a few cents unless it is uncirculated. However, if you have a 1971 Lincoln penny in uncirculated condition with brilliant red color and no signs of wear, its value can go up significantly. A high-grade example from Philadelphia or Denver can sell for $1 to $5 on platforms like eBay. In even better condition like MS67 red, it can go for $25 to $100 or more. A 1971 S-proof penny, especially one that has been kept in pristine condition and graded PR69 or PR70 by a grading service, can be worth $10 to $50 or more depending on demand. But the true gems are the error coins. A 1971 double die obverse penny, as mentioned earlier, can range from $100 to over $1,000 depending on condition. If you ever come across a penny with doubled lettering or an unusual look, especially if it is from 1971, make sure to get it examined by a professional coin grading service. A high-quality double die coin in mint state red condition is incredibly valuable to collectors due to its rarity and sharp detail. These are not easy to find in your change, but they are out there and they are worth hunting for. In terms of the current market, the interest in rare coins remains strong in 2025. As the price of copper rises and more collectors enter the hobby, the value of older pennies, especially those with errors, continues to increase. Coin shows, online marketplaces, and collector groups all help drive the prices up for high-quality examples and error coins. So here is your takeaway: check your pocket change. Look in your old coin jars. Inspect the pennies you might otherwise ignore. A simple 1971 penny could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars if it is a rare variety or error coin, and if you think you have found one, consider sending it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Getting your coin authenticated and graded not only protects its value but also makes it easier to sell if you decide to cash in, and that is the story of the 1971 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. From humble beginnings to potential treasure, this little copper coin reminds us that history and value can be found in the most unexpected places. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of pennies. Specifically, we're talking about the 1981 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. You might be surprised to know that this little copper coin sitting in your change jar or pocket could be worth a whole lot more than just 1 cent, but before you toss it into a coin roll or vending machine, you'll want to hear this. Let's go back in time to understand the history behind the 1981 Lincoln penny. This coin features the image of President Abraham Lincoln, which has been on the U.S. penny since 1909, marking the centennial of his birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's portrait became the first real person featured on a regular U.S. coin. Now fast forward to 1981. This year marked the end of an era for the Lincoln Memorial Cent. You see, during most of the 20th century, Lincoln pennies were made mostly of copper. However, by the late 1970s and early 80s, the price of copper was rising rapidly. In fact, the metal in a penny was becoming more valuable than the coin's face value. So in 1982, the U.S. Mint changed the composition of the penny from 95% copper and 5% zinc to a new, cheaper format, 97.5% zinc with a thin layer of copper plating. But 1981 was the last full year of the original copper cent. This makes 1981 pennies some of the final examples of nearly pure copper 1-cent pieces, minted for circulation. Now here's where it gets interesting. There were two different minting methods used for the 1981 penny. Regular strike coins meant for everyday use and proof coins intended for collectors. Regular strikes were made at 3 mint facilities: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark; Denver with the D mint mark; and San Francisco with the S mark. Most of the 1981 pennies you find in circulation will be common, but that doesn't mean they're worthless. Some of them, especially in pristine condition or with unique errors, can fetch significant value. Let's talk about the varieties and mint errors that make some 1981 Lincoln pennies valuable. First, the 1981 Type 1 and Type 2 proofs. In 1981, the San Francisco Mint released proof sets with two distinct types of S mint marks. Type 1 featured a more rounded S, while Type 2 had a clearer, sharper S. The Type 2 was scarcer and more desirable. If you find a 1981 S Type 2 proof penny in deep cameo condition, it could sell for over $100 or even more, depending on the grade. Next, we have mint errors and varieties. These include off-center strikes, double dies clipped planchets, and more. For example, a 1981 penny with a major off-center strike where a big chunk of the design is missing can sell for $50 to $200 or more, depending on how dramatic the error is. A 1981 double die obverse where the letters in Liberty or the date appear to have been stamped twice can be worth hundreds if certified and in great condition. Always check those coins under magnification. You never know what you might find. High-grade 1981 business strike pennies can also be worth money. A coin graded MS67 red by PCGS or NGC, meaning it has a brilliant red luster and no visible wear, could sell for $50 to $150. Some exceptionally rare high-grade examples have sold for even more at auction. The key here is the condition: red color with no spots, no wear, and strong strike. And don't forget about full rolls of uncirculated 1981 pennies. These are often bought by collectors and investors because of the copper content and potential value of finding high-grade coins or errors. A full original bank-wrapped roll might fetch $5 to $15 or more, depending on demand and condition. Let's talk about the current market value. Most circulated 1981 pennies are worth just face value unless they have an error or are in superb condition. However, because they are 95% copper, each one actually contains about 2 to 3 cents worth of copper. At today's metal prices, it's illegal to melt them for the copper, but investors often hoard them for potential future gains. Proof coins, especially the Type 2S variety as mentioned earlier remain very collectible as of 2025. Type 2 proof Lincoln Cents graded PR69 DCAM can go for $60 to $120 while PR70 examples can bring in hundreds depending on the market. Or coins like off-center double die and die cap strikes are hot sellers online, and it coin shows a dramatic error can easily bring in several $100 rare errors, or a combination of errors such as a 1981 penny with both a double die and off-center strike could be worth over $500 to the right. Buyer certified coins slabbed by NGC or PCGS with high grades command the best prices. This is especially true for MS67 red or better coins with full red luster and sharp details. Now here's what to do if you think you have a valuable 1981 penny. First, examine it under good lighting or use a jeweler's loupe. Look for anything unusual such as doubling odd edges, missing elements, or unusually shiny surfaces. If you think you've got a gem, consider submitting it to a third party grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and grade the coin, giving you a better idea of its value. Also consider checking completed listings on auction sites like eBay to see what similar coins have sold for recently. That gives you a sense of real market demand and value. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatics history, the 1982 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. It may look like a simple copper coin at first glance, but there is so much more to it than meets the eye. From its dramatic metal transition to rare varieties that can fetch thousands of dollars, this little coin is a piece of history and possibly a hidden fortune sitting in your pocket jar or coin collection. So buckle up as we explore the full story of the 1982 Lincoln penny, its background and its current market value. First, let us take a look at the background of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln 1-cent coin has been minted since 1909 in honor of the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it marked the first time a real person appeared on regular American coinage. For decades, the Lincoln penny was made primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, but that all changed in 1982. The year 1982 was a turning point for the penny and one of the most unique years in U.S. coinage history. Due to the rising cost of copper, the United States Mint made a major decision that would create one of the most collectible categories in modern coin collecting. They switched from the traditional copper composition to a new zinc-based composition coated in copper, which was significantly cheaper to produce. This was not a simple overnight change. Instead, the Mint struck coins in both copper and zinc compositions throughout the year, creating a fascinating situation for collectors. Now here is where things get really interesting. In 1982, there were a total of 7 different penny varieties minted across the Philadelphia and Denver mints. These varieties are based on 3 factors: the mint mark, the metal composition, and the size of the date. Let us break it down. From Philadelphia, there were 4 varieties: 1 large date copper, 1 large date zinc, 1 small date copper, and 1 small date zinc. From Denver, there were 3 varieties: 1 large date copper, 1 large date zinc, and 1 small date zinc. No small date copper. 1982 D Lincoln cents are supposed to exist, but hold on to that thought because it becomes important when we talk about rare finds. So how do you tell if your 1982 penny is made of copper or zinc? Easy. A copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams while a zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams. A simple digital scale can help you determine the metal composition if you do not have a scale. You can also do the sound test. Drop the coin on a table and listen. Copper coins have a higher pitched ring compared to the dull thud of zinc coins. Now let us talk about value and why some of these 1982 pennies are worth way more than 1 cent. For most average circulated 1982 pennies, whether copper or zinc, they are worth face value maybe a few cents if uncirculated, but certain varieties, especially in high grades or with unique traits, can bring serious money. For example, a 1982 small date copper penny from the Philadelphia Mint in pristine uncirculated condition can sell for hundreds of dollars because it is less common than its zinc counterpart. But the real treasure is the 1982 D small date copper penny, which technically should not exist. Only zinc small date coins were officially minted in Denver, but in 2016 a collector discovered a genuine copper small date 1982 D penny, authenticated by third-party graders. This rare error coin shook the coin community, and today it is considered one of the holy grails of modern pennies. One of these coins in mint condition sold for over $18,000 at auction. That is right, a single penny struck in the wrong metal type with the right date variety from the Denver Mint brought in nearly $20,000. That is the kind of find collectors dream about. So how many of these 1982 D small date copper pennies exist at this time? Only a few verified examples have been found, making them extremely rare and highly desirable by collectors. This means checking your 1982 pennies, especially from Denver, is absolutely worth your time. Weigh them, check the date style, and consider sending anything suspicious to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. Now let us talk about the current market. In 2025, prices for 1982 Lincoln cents have been steady, with certain high-grade varieties consistently selling for between $50 and several $100. Uncirculated rolls, especially of copper small dates or Mixed varieties have become popular among online auction buyers. With inflation rising and copper prices fluctuating, there is renewed interest in copper coins not just as collectibles but also for their metal content. But keep in mind that melting pennies for metal is illegal in the US, so their copper content is more about potential future value than immediate profit. Still, smart collectors are hoarding pre-1982 and copper 1982 coins just in case when buying or selling. 1982 Lincoln cents condition matters a lot. A coin in mint state 65 or higher can demand a strong premium, especially if certified by a top grading company. Coins with full red luster, no spots, no scratches, and sharp detail can attract serious buyers. If you were lucky enough to find a rare variety like the 1982 D small date copper or even a transitional error, do not rush to sell. Get it graded and appraised first, because these coins can be worth life-changing amounts. To sum it up, the 1982 Lincoln penny is not just another one cent coin. It represents a transition in American coinage, a rare opportunity for collectors, and a potential hidden gem in your change jar. Whether you are hunting for the elusive 1982 D copper small date or building a full set of all 7 varieties, this year is a must-have for any serious coin enthusiast. So next time you get some change, take a closer look at those pennies, weigh them, examine the date, and pay attention to small versus large date features. You never know when you might find a valuable piece of history right in your hand. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of coins and collectibles as we explore the 2011 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent penny. Yes, you heard that right, that small copper coin sitting in your change jar might be worth much more than just a penny, so stick around because we are going to talk about its history, key features, and why some versions of this coin are selling for a lot of money in today's collector's market. Let us begin with a little background on the coin itself. The 1 cent penny has a long history in the United States dating back to 1793, but Abraham Lincoln first appeared on the cent in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth. Fast forward to the year 2011 and we are looking at the modern Lincoln Shield cent. This design replaced the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been used since 1959. The new reverse features a Union shield with a scroll across it reading 1 cent, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single unified country. On the front of the coin we still have that iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner over a century ago. Now the 2011 penny is made primarily of zinc with a thin layer of copper, which gives it that classic reddish color. But what makes this particular year interesting to collectors is not just the design, it is the errors, varieties, and conditions that can drive up its value significantly. So, what should you be looking for? Well, first off, the 2011 penny was minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, which has no mint mark; Denver, which has a small D mark; and San Francisco, which produced only proof coins marked with an S. The vast majority of these coins are worth face value in circulated condition, but there are some notable exceptions. Let us start with error coins. Some 2011 pennies have been found with doubled dies. This means the design elements were stamped twice, slightly off alignment, creating a doubled appearance on the letters or numbers. Collectors pay extra for these because they are rare and hard to find. For example, a 2011 double die obverse penny can sell anywhere between $10 and $100 depending on its condition and how dramatic the doubling is. Then there are off-center strikes. If a coin is not perfectly aligned when it is struck, it can have part of the design missing or off-center. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin. These can sell for $20 to even a few $100s depending on severity and eye appeal. Another factor that makes a 2011 penny valuable is its grade. Grading refers to the condition of the coin using a scale from 1 to 70. Coins that are graded MS 67 or higher are considered superb and are highly sought after. If you have a 2011 penny in mint state condition with no scratches or wear and strong eye appeal, it could be worth between $5 and $20 and sometimes even more at auction. Now, what about the proof versions from San Francisco? These coins are made using a special minting process and are usually sold in sets. They have a mirror-like finish and sharp details. A 2011 S-proof penny in pristine condition can sell for $3 to $10, but if it is a perfect proof 70 example certified by a major grading service, it might fetch $20 to $50. It is also worth mentioning that coins with unique toning or color patterns can attract collectors as well. For example, a 2011 penny that has naturally toned with rainbow colors can be worth much more due to its visual appeal. So how do you know if your 2011 penny is worth more than face value? First, examine it closely under good lighting. Look for doubling on the date or lettering. Check if it is off-center. See if it has any unusual marks, colors, or high-quality surfaces. If it looks promising, consider sending it to a coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. A professionally graded coin can sell for much more than a raw ungraded one. Now let us talk about current market values as of this recording in 2025. Average circulated 2011 pennies are still worth just 1 cent, but uncirculated or error examples can bring in anywhere from $5 to over $100, especially if certified. Some rare error coins have even sold for several $100s at online auctions. So while most 2011 pennies are not going to make you rich, it is absolutely worth taking a second look at the ones in your collection. You might just have a hidden gem. To sum it all up, the 2011 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny is a common coin with uncommon potential. With the right error, high grade, or unique features, it could be worth far more than its face value. So get out your coin jars, your pocket change, or your old piggy banks and start searching. Who knows what treasure might be waiting for you? Today we're diving deep into a tiny coin with a huge story. We're talking about the 2014 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now you might be thinking it's just a simple penny. A single cent, practically worthless. But what if I told you this little copper-colored coin could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today? That's right. Some 2014 Lincoln pennies are not ordinary at all. They hold value that far exceeds their face amount. And we're going to break down why. Let's start with a bit of history. The Lincoln penny has been around since 1909, when it was introduced to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person instead of a symbolic figure. That original coin had the wheat ears on the back, and over the years it has gone through several changes. But in 2010, something special happened. The U.S. Mint officially launched a new reverse design featuring the Union Shield. That's the version you'll see on the 2014 penny. Now, what makes the 2014 penny stand out? It was a standard year for circulation, but certain rare errors and varieties from this year have caught the attention of collectors. These rare errors are what take an ordinary penny and turn it into a valuable treasure. And we'll cover those in detail. So what are these errors exactly? Let's talk about doubled dies. This is when the coin die used to strike the penny has a misalignment during the engraving process. The result is that the penny appears to have doubled lettering. On the 2014 penny, there are examples of doubled die obverse, where the word Liberty or the date itself shows doubling under magnification. These coins can sell for $50 to $100 or even more depending on condition. Another rare type is the off-center strike. That's when the design is not centered on the coin. Sometimes these errors are dramatic, with 30 to 50% of the design missing or shifted to one side. A 2014 penny with a dramatic off-center strike could fetch anywhere from $75 to $200 depending on how far off-center it is and whether the date is still fully visible. There's also the broad strike error. This happens when the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads out wider than normal. It looks a little flattened with no raised rim. These coins can bring in around $30 to $70 if in good shape. Now let's not forget the coins made from the wrong planchet. Occasionally a penny is struck on a blank intended for a dime or foreign coin. These mistakes are very rare but incredibly valuable. Some 2014 pennies struck on dime planchets have sold for several $100s or more. Then there are satin finish strikes. Although not technically errors, these coins were specially made by the U.S. Mint in limited numbers for collector sets. If you've got one of those in mint state 67 or higher, they can sell for $25 to $50. And if you have a perfect mint state 69 with no flaws, you might be looking at $100 or more. So how do you know if you have one of these valuable 2014 pennies? First, you'll want to look closely at the coin using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Pay attention to the words "In God We Trust," Liberty, and the date. Look for signs of doubling. Check the rims. Are they uneven or too flat? Is the coin perfectly round or does it look stretched out? Does it feel lighter or heavier than a normal penny? These are all signs that something might be off. You can also weigh the penny. Standard 2014 pennies should weigh about 2.5 grams. If yours is off, that could indicate a wrong planchet error. If your penny seems unusual in any way, do not spend it. Instead, consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for evaluation. Now let's talk about current market value. Most 2014 pennies in circulation are worth just face value, 1 cent. But the ones with rare errors or those in perfect mint condition can be worth a lot more. For example, a 2014 penny with a strong doubled die error in mint state 65 recently sold for over $150 at auction. A broad strike example sold for $75. And one off-center strike sold for nearly $200. If you have a high-grade regular penny with no error but graded MS68 or higher, you might still be able to sell it for $10 to $25, especially if it's from a high-quality roll. Collectors love perfect examples of modern coins. So should you start searching your change? Absolutely. The 2014 Lincoln penny is still very common. You could have hundreds of them in your home right now, and one of them might be the rare variety that collectors are hunting for. To wrap up, let's recap. The 2014 Abraham Lincoln penny is not just pocket change. With rare errors like doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and wrong planchet issues, these coins can sell for far more than 1 cent. Even standard coins in high mint state grades can be valuable. It's always worth checking your spare change in coin jars. You never know when you might discover a small treasure hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more coin collecting tips and discoveries. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Until next time, happy hunting, and may your next penny be the one that changes everything.